Next up on Saturday, we have number 16 LSU at South Carolina at 12 p.m. It is a noon.
Isaac really wanted to pick this one. But it's okay.
Yeah, it is a noon game, though. After week one, this matchup is honestly a lot better than what we expected it to be. We really thought, after that Old Dominion game for South Carolina, it wasn't going to be a close call, but, LSU decided to play Nichols. And, man, was that a close game. Great win, guys.
They barely won by a nickel.
Exactly. So South Carolina crushed Kentucky on the road last week, 31-6, giving up 0 touchdowns and picking up 2 interceptions, 1 for a pick six. South Carolina, Lenore Sellers threw for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. The ESPN FBI has LSU at 51%. The TBD model has LSU at -4 and spread LSU -7. Of course, Isaac's pick is LSU, the fake Tigers. Mason, how about you?
I think this one became a lot tougher after I saw how LSU played against Nicholls State, because obviously I thought they were going to come out in week one and get a big win over USC. That didn't happen. And then, of course, I thought they were going to absolutely pile drive Nicholls State into the ground, and that didn't happen. And I thought that South Carolina was going to be Old Dominion by a ton, and that didn't happen. And then really I thought Kentucky with the Brock Vandegrift transfer from Georgia was going to absolutely crush South Carolina, and that didn't happen. So now I really don't know what to do or how to pick this because LSU does have proven quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, who has a really good long ball. They've still got some dudes in that wide receiver room, but that defense is what scares me. If South Carolina comes into Willie B tomorrow playing exactly like they did on the road, and they do that at home against LSU, who albeit definitely is a tougher opponent than Kentucky, don't get me wrong, but if they come in playing like that tomorrow, then they will 100% win this game. And that's why I'm actually going to go with South Carolina to win this. I've picked South Carolina a lot of times to win these games, and I've never been right. So hopefully the boys in Columbia help me out on this one. I really think that South Carolina has a really good shot to win this game. And from what I've seen from LSU this season, I just can't pick them right now. I don't trust them. And something that's been on my gut lately is like, if I can't trust you, I'm not going to pick you, which is why I picked Iowa State last week, because I do not trust Cade McNamara, and I ended up being right. So I got to go with my gut on this one. I don't trust, and really I don't even trust that South Carolina that much, but I definitely don't trust Brian Kelly right now, and I do not trust the LSU Tigers. Give me the Cox and Lenora Sellers and Shane Beamer in this one.
This is kind of a tough one because if you really look at it, LSU can, even against Nichols, they could not get the run game really going. But, the passing game was, working out just fine with Nussmeier. I think he had 6 touchdowns against Nichols. Granted, it was still a close game. Meanwhile, South Carolina, look, I'll give you this. Their defense is a lot better. But let's be real. Kentucky sucks at defense because South Carolina's offense is atrocious. I mean, if we really look at it, Sellers cannot throw. He is more comfortable running the ball, and so is their offensive coordinator. They love to run the ball. Here's what sucks for LSU. They can't guard the run. They've given up so many rushing yards. I think it's over 300 total rushing yards now within the past 2 games. That's an issue. But, if you force Sellers to throw it, I think LSU wins this game. So I will have to pick LSU. I kind of like the same stance here in. If I can't trust you, I'm not going to pick you. South Carolina gives me nothing to trust, nothing to base trust off of. That's not just me being a Clemson fan. That's just solely football. You could be, if you're up, at least LSU's consistently like, what the heck is going on? South Carolina's like, they're really down this week. Oh, they're really up this week. They're probably going to be down this week. So give me LSU.
Don't get me wrong. I am gonna disagree with you right here just for a second. Don't get me wrong. I do think that Kentucky does not have as good of a defense as LSU. But I actually think that if Lenora Sellers is forced to throw it, they're actually going to do better. They broke off some big runs against Kentucky. But in Lenora Sellers, I think he did throw a pick. But he did throw some really good passes. So if the wide receivers can create some separation, he has a good arm and he has good aim. So I think that if they can outrun those LSU DBs, I think they're going to be in business. And let's not forget, Shane Beamer, he's not new to knocking off teams at home. I mean, let's just think 2 years ago we saw this man, take down the number 5 team in the country, Tennessee, who had a high-rated, high-powered offense with Hendon Hooker at quarterback. So I'm just saying, I would not be surprised if South Carolina won, and neither should you.
I also want to say, though, like, when it comes to LSU's defense, they've shown they can at least somewhat guard the pass a lot better than they can guard the run. Their DBs are not as easily beat. Granted, when they're beat, they like to, just tug on you and give up a pass interference call. But I just don't see any wide receivers from South Carolina doing that. I don't see anybody. No, I don't see anybody.
Harbor, Jared Brown. Are you serious, dude?
The amount of times I've heard people say Nicholas Harbor's so good. So why was he so bad against Old Dominion? Why was he so bad against
speed in the game? He's got to be good.
That doesn't mean anything until you're up in the real game, though.
I agree. I'm just messing.
No, I know, but like, you can talk up his name all you want, but until he shows and prove, like, I'm sure he had a great game against Kentucky. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have great games against Kentucky.
Speaking of that, yeah, I would definitely cover. I would pick Georgia to cover 24 points against Kentucky this weekend. Anyway.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I just see LSU's defense miles better than Kentucky.
I got South Carolina. I just got LSU. You got LSU.